Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 3 series played on the new maps with the new multiplayer balance patch. It's gonna be a Protoss versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Golden Aura. The spawning here in the bottom right hand corner, playing with the red Protoss pieces from the United States of America. We have Astrea and his opponent. Really? Drone scout? Okay. His opponent from South Korea in the opposite corner. We're looking inside of the main base of Dark. This is not a matchup where you usually go for a drone scout. As a matter of fact, since the Zerg pylons and supply depots can fly, this is not usually something Zerg players do. We see Protoss players sending their probes across the map all the time. Terrans, they obviously go for SCV scouts. Zergs generally do not go for a worker scout, however, because it's not really worth it. Dark has scouted on the other side of the map that this is a normal opener from the Protoss, and Astrea, of course, is definitely known to go for some crazy strategies. Now Dark has decided to go for a hatchery, into a gas geyser, and then eventually a spawning pool. This does mean that Dark is not going to have any early game units out, but as long as Protoss is playing a normal game, I guess he doesn't really need them here either. At this point though, Astrea has seen that his opponent decided to go for a delayed spawning pool. He confirms indeed that it is a, well, quick third hatch, and he has decided to go for a double gateway start as well. So this is going to be a very aggressive beginning here for Astrea for sure. He wants to get some damage done on the other side of the map, or at the very least force out a bunch of Zerglings. Now I've watched about a dozen, I think, no, maybe not a dozen, maybe like 8 or so Dark games so far. I haven't seen this particular series yet, but one thing I've noticed from Dark is that he almost seems a little bit upset with the new multiplayer patch. He is playing incredibly aggressively, a lot of like proxy hatcheries, Nidus worms, and early game aggression in general. So even though this really looks like a macro-based opener here from Dark, he could just treat this third hatchery as a macro hatchery, right? Just to produce as many Zerglings as he wants to. And he's already holding down the link button. Yeah, so he mined 100 gas, started up metabolic boost, relatively late all things considered, and we'll have to see if the Zerglings that he's making just now are just for the defense against these adepts. Because it could be that he's just gonna, okay, he's making a few drones again. I was gonna say, it could just be that he wants to just be hyper aggressive here in this particular game. Somebody on my stream pointed out in the chat the other day that ever since the new patch has hit, they have not seen Dark make a single Baneling. And I'm not 100% sure if that is true. The Baneling, of course, did receive a double nerf. It deals less damage, plus on top of that it also got 5 less hit points, which is all very significant. And Dark apparently is showing us that he doesn't want to play with Banelings anymore. Okay, metabolic boost is done. Third Nexus has started up here for Astrea, but this is him going for a Twilight Council opener. Actually, all things considered, his Twilight Council is very late, and his third Nexus is also not quite as early as it could have been, since he's been making a lot of units out of those gateways. Hallucinated Phoenix right now going across the map. Does he realize that he is playing against somebody who's just playing hyper aggressively here? Because Dark, he's just holding down the Zergling button. Yeah, he's made a Roach Warren, he's gone for a second gas. There's no lair, there's no Baneling nest, there's nothing. It's just Zerglings and I guess soon to be Roaches. Keep in mind there's no Oracle here, so nothing that actually shoots from above. And I guess Dark, with this quick triple hatchery opener, he forced out a double gateway start from Astrea. That was pretty good, but I guess the odds of the opponent going for a Stargate after the double gateway are relatively low. And because of that, I mean, the Twilight Council right now is completely wasted. We only had enough energy right there for a single force field as well. So Zerglings are actually getting a proper wraparound. Glaive Adepts on the back of this, which is one of those upgrades that I don't know. I've got a love-hate relationship with it. Oftentimes it does well against weaker Zerg players like myself, but at this level of play, generally speaking, Glaive Adepts don't really deal that much damage. Now maybe it's defensive. I don't know if Astrea realizes at this point that it's just continued aggression right here from Dark. He's now even sending roaches across as well. Dark has not made a drone in several minutes. Okay. Full wall off, by the way, here for Astrea, so he can't actually transfer workers right now on over towards the third base. But then again, judging by the amount of units about to knock on his front door, I don't think he should. Oh no. Oh, this might be the worst timing for him. Ah, he just recalled. Oh no, he just recalled probes towards the third base, so he didn't have to kill that pylon that completed the wall off. Those probes, they got recalled into a Zerg infestation. Lair finally starts up, by the way, here for Dark, who's eventually going to be able to kill this third Nexus, but in the meantime, his drone count is pretty pathetic, right? For the last couple of minutes at the very least, despite the fact that he had a third Nexus, yeah, that hasn't really been mining, Astrea has had that income advantage, but he's been losing so much. So many of these units are mediocre at best against an army like this. And I mean, Dark already hurt is only cool. I don't like the Glaive. No, I don't like the Glaive to depth. I think it's bait almost every single time. I think it should have gone straight Robo Facility or Stargate still, even though it may be a bit of an awkward transition, but yeah, these Adepts want to be on the other side of the map killing drones, but it turns out there's rarely any drones for them to kill anyways, because Dark's economy is kind of horrible. And this is what Dark's been doing on the new patch. Just hyper-aggressive gameplay. I don't know if he's just throwing like the Zerg equivalent of a tantrum. Is that a thing? A Zerg tantrum? Is he just trying to win games and proving a point? I'm not exactly sure. Or maybe he just tries to get the games over with fast and he just can't be bothered. Maybe he just doesn't really respect some of the opponents I've been seeing him play against. He's like, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm just gonna cheese you. I'm much better than you. If we play a macro game, I'll win anyways. And I do think that in a best of 3 series of Dark versus Astrea, Dark is probably favored, like, I don't know, 70% of the time. I think that's fair. Maybe even a little bit more than that, because Dark is an absolute monster. And he does do this sometimes, where he just plays super aggressively and he just cannot be bothered. He's got this, like, very nonchalant feel to his playstyle, where he's just playing strategies that are considered to be suboptimal, like a drone scout into triple hatch opener. It's very clever as well, though, at the same time. So I don't want to say that the builds are stupid, but it does have that, yeah, very loose feel to it, right? Where he's just throwing stuff at a wall and he hopes that something sticks. And in theory, yeah, if Protoss does everything perfectly, it shouldn't work out for them. It shouldn't work out for the Zerg, that is. But if you make one little slip up, and obviously the micro is always very tight and very easy to mess up. If you make one little mistake, you may just find yourself in a situation like the one that Astrea is currently in. Now, he does have a scary army, though. It's just that it's mostly Glaive Adepts. And I'm a little afraid that these units are just going to end up getting surrounded. There's no way he's going to shade. Nah, he's not going to shade. I mean, it's almost pretty much always going to be a fake when there's Immortals and Sentries in the mix. I mean, it's only one Immortal and only 3 Sentries. So I guess it could just be a sacrificial group. Yeah, the thing is, as soon as he shades forward, obviously those units here are going to die. You have to be very confident. But this is now, for all intents and purposes, an all-in right here for Astrea, where he needs to deal game-ending damage. And I just don't see how an army like this is going to make that happen. 10 more roaches are just about to spawn. Miss Rally right there on the shades by Astrea. And I think Dark has just done it again. Playing very dirty builds. But showing us that Zerg doesn't need to play macro games every time. Yeah. I mean, he does decide to commit here, but there's really no way. Yeah, that's just not an army that can fight Roach Ravager. It's just not going to happen. These units are good against light, so Hydra Ling, maybe? But even then, it's not optimal. Yeah, Astrea got absolutely shut down here in game number 1. Okay, game number 2, we find ourselves on Solaris. So what unit has gotten the biggest change in this particular matchup? Well, it's definitely going to be the Mothership. I think overall, though... Oh, no. Dark just canceled the drone. He's gonna go for a 12 fool. I think overall, though, the Mothership will still be a relatively niche unit, right? It's something we'll see every once in a while, but probably not in every game. I mean, for the foreseeable future, at least the next couple of weeks, we'll probably see the Protoss players experiment with some Mothership timing attacks. But I think overall, it'll probably have a relatively niche role. In an average game of ZVP, I think the nerf to the Baneling as well as the Disruptor is going to be significantly more interesting. Both of those units are just a little bit weaker overall. Other than that, we've seen a nerf to the Lurker, to the Infestor, Small little change, I guess, to the Viper. I'm not even going to call it a buff, even though it technically is. The Brute Lord is now faster, and I guess in this matchup, it's probably a little bit stronger. Overlord is a little bit cheap, or yeah, the Overlord, I guess, can be used. I was going to say Ultralisk is a little bit cheaper. The Overlord can be used again for drop play, but I don't think Dark really wants to do any of it. No, I think Dark just wants to go for an all-in. Hydralisk, obviously, is also a little bit easier to get out. But if it's up to Dark, he's gonna win this best of 3 series in another minute or 2. He's now built a hatchery on the other side of the map. For Protoss, the Disruptor got nerfed, the Tempest got buffed, the Sentry got a small little improvement, Oracle, I guess, minor little change as well. The Void Ray got a bug fix, and then the Mothership essentially got a rework. I wrote all of that down, assuming we're gonna maybe see some of those units come out, but again, if it's up to Dark, we're not gonna see it. Nope, if it's up to Dark, he is gonna win this match in a minute from now. Okay, so, hatchery over here, inside of the wall of the Protoss. Keep in mind that Zerg can always cancel this and essentially create a wide open space for those Zerglings to run in. Instead, though, the Zerglings are gonna start working on whatever they can here. If they can kill the gateway, that is essentially game ending. The way that Astrea has positioned his structures here is actually really quite nice for him. So even if the hatchery does get cancelled, there's only a little bit more space for him to worry about, and I think if he's quick enough on the keyboard, he can indeed re-wall himself in. So good crisis management. Right here, he's gonna try. Okay, Zealot here does end up getting surrounded. Second Zealot just popped. Okay. I don't think, though, that this is gonna be broken. Now, only the Zealots are gonna go down. And in the end, even though this looks incredibly cursed, this is one of the ugliest wall-ups you can make as a Protoss, it's fine. It's totally fine. Okay. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Dark has made 2 additional hatcheries. I'm happy, though, that we're not going to see the game end right now, because it's very easy for the Protoss to mess this up, and once again for him to, for Dark that is, to, yeah, win another match. Anyways, now we're gonna be forced to watch at least a slightly longer game, right? This is not really a deficit here for the Protoss. As a matter of fact, I think this is an advantage, despite the fact that I don't think both of the Zealots needed to go down. This is a very large hit to the early game economy of Zerg, and if Astrea just decides to go for a standard Stargate opener, which I'm secretly hoping for, he's not actually planted down anything yet, because he has only gone for a single gas here. Maybe going for another gas would not be a bad idea. But anyways, if he follows this up with a semi-normal game, where Dark can't just win with Ravagers and Zerglings, we should be alright. Oh, okay. Instead, Astrea decides to go for a Nexus here at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Fair enough. Dark has not actually started up any of his gases. He decides to shoot the Overlord for just a moment, but even though this is once again a triple hatch opener, the start is very different, of course, and it's a gasless one on top of that. So this means that Dark will probably be taking multiple gases all at once later, but for now it's just gonna be slow Zerglings together with drones and queens. Sometimes, like, as a fan of StarCraft 2, right, I kind of play this game like it's an Excel spreadsheet. I wish I was a little bit more like Dark sometimes. You know what I mean? It's this very loose style where it kind of just really feels like he's throwing stuff at the wall and he really just hopes that something sticks. It's such a cool way to play. Astrea has got a bit of that as well. When it comes to high-level Protoss players that really, yeah, play very loosely, I would say that SOS, who recently has been playing quite a bit again, really is the type of guy who has the same feel as Dark has. Is there a Terran player that kind of feels like that? Maybe somebody like Special a little bit. Somebody like Gumiho as well. Yeah, those guys tend to be pretty creative and they just sort of make stuff. Whereas if you compare like this Zerg style, I guess, to, for example, somebody like Serral. Serral is very clinical, very orthodox, very calculated. Dark oftentimes seems to go for strategies that don't make a lot of sense, but somehow, some way, he wiggles his way out of it. Yeah. Anyways, it's not gonna be a Stargate opener. It's once again gonna be a follow-up with a Twilight Council, but this time around we're basically just skipping the Stargate phase of the game. We're not gonna go for any Oracles at all. We're gonna straight up step up towards Blink Stalkers together with the +1 ground weapons. Okay. Hallucinated Phoenix in the main base, just scouting out roughly what's going on, sees that it's a Roach Warren. He checked whether or not it's a Baneling nest, but if my hypothesis is true, well, it's not my hypothesis, somebody told me in Twitch chat. But if it turns out to be true, I don't think we're gonna see any Baneling play at all from Dark. I think Dark is just refusing to play the Baneling right now until he needs it. I think he's showing us that he doesn't need the Baneling to win. They can double nerf it all they want. He doesn't care. He probably cares. Yeah, he may say that he doesn't care, but I think he cares. Dark Shrine right now on the back of this as well for Astrea. The problem with this opener though here for Astrea is, yeah, he's got a good eco, and that's obviously, well, very important, but Zerg is also left to do whatever they like. And one thing apparently Dark likes to do right now is spread a bunch of creep around, and that creep spread is already looking mighty fine right here on Solaris. Yeah, it's gonna be difficult for Protoss to really shut this down later in the game. He decides to go for a Robo Bay. Considering the Disruptor nerf, I wonder if Astrea wants to go into any sort of Colossus play, but honestly, I don't see how we're gonna make Colossi work here. Disruptors and Stalkers are, of course, a very good combination if you can micro the units well, but only time will tell. Okay. I would love to see a Mothership rush or something like that, but I don't think it's really gonna work against somebody of Dark's caliber. Maybe. Sometimes it feels to me like players also sort of facilitate Dark to play the way that he does, where they're playing a little bit too cautiously, right? They're just letting him do. Like, they're just taking a beating. They're just letting him do whatever he likes to do, and, well, ultimately, this man is still a late-game monster, so it's difficult to get much done. Like, yeah, Astrea's gonna try and poke him here with a Dark Templar, but obviously that's not gonna win him the game. At most, he's gonna kill 10 drones, I think, is the most he's gonna hope for. And that is already a very large amount of workers. At this point, there is an Overseer out. Somewhere. Ah, it's on the other side of the map, fair. Yeah, we're gonna need a little bit of detection. Spore Crawler start up at home. Queen's over here already working on that Prism. Don't lose the Prism, please. He does lose the Prism. I did say please, but apparently Dark did not care. 6 drones so far, though. Definitely not bad at all. Okay, 9 drones? I said 10 was gonna be the most he would get. Turns out I was wrong. 12. Alright. Nice crisis management. 13. Nice crisis management. 14. Counting with Lowko. I would have liked it a lot better if he did not lose the Prism and 4 Dark Templar, though. It's kind of expensive. Dark so far has lost a elite amount of minerals. 50 gas. Yeah, I think it would have been much better if he did not just YOLO in the Dark Templar and then, you know. He could have definitely gotten 1 or 2 out of them. For 1 additional drone, I don't think it's quite worth sacrificing them, but... Anyhow, Hydro Den right now on the back of this. Will we see a Banelings nest? Nope. He's just refusing it. It's so interesting. By the way, it is Colossus play. Interesting. So Astrea is actually going not just up to 2 Colossi, he's going straight into 4 Colossi. I like Colossi against light units a lot. The problem is against armored units, like for example the Roach, Colossi really suck. We do have a Dropper Lord coming up here as well for Dark. He's gonna go into a Lurker Den. These Colossi are good, I guess, for some supplemental damage. Maybe if they dealt a little bit more damage overall, they'd be decent against Roaches, but they really don't do much against a Roach. Already, the Hive is done. Vipers are coming up. There's the charge upgrade, okay. The creep spread really needs to be addressed though, because it's quite literally knocking at the front door right here of our Protoss, which is not where you want it to be. And Dark actually using that speed up circle to get a wrap around here. The Colossi though are very powerful. Yeah, some very nice panicked force fields as well. No overlap at all, by the way. Those were actually gorgeous. And those Colossi, they're gonna make easy work of light units, like for example the Zergling. So I think the age of the Zergling is probably mostly over at this point. Maybe for some counterattack aggression, but other than that, I don't think we're really gonna see a whole lot more of those units. As long as the Colossi are around. So +3 is started up. Charge is gonna finish up as well. This is a very scary Protoss army though. This is right before Zerg transitions towards all those Lurkers. Yeah, there's a few Lurkers coming up right now. Hatchery over here in the top left ends up going down. But Astrea is spending a lot of time here clearing creep, and that's valuable time that I think he should be spending right now killing the Zerg. He's got an opportunity. Nice sniper right down that Viper. Okay, you know what? I actually think he just still found an angle where he can engage here. Good abduction, I suppose, but that Colossus is alright. this is still a very scary Protoss army. Lurkers are going to finish up their seismic spines, their ranged upgrade in a couple seconds from now. That's going to make them a lot better. I think that Astrea is going to kill the hatch and get out. Still wants to kill a few more OVs. Not bad at all. Would have loved to see a Zealot counterattack towards the bottom at the same time. Yeah. I think that would have been really nice. I mean, Astrea's got the money for it. Don't know why we're not spending it. He's, by the way, going to go into some disruptors as well. So even though Dark is refusing to play his nerfed unit, apparently Astrea is not going to do the same thing. Okay. Now we finally see a warp in. It's been a little bit. Okay. The creep is still around here, so Dark actually sees these zealots coming in from a mile away. The majority of the Protoss army, though, is cycling towards the bottom section of the map. Astrea now at 84 workers, a really lovely economy for him, and he starts up the +1 air weapons. Okay, Mothership is coming closer, guys. I hope we're gonna see one. That'd be nice. Okay, good force field. Very lovely boxing right there on those drones. That's 12 drones down the drain. Prism number 2 hanging out in the same spot where the first prism ended up dying. Zealots and Stalkers definitely need to be getting rid of all of this. Okay. Seems like Dark is playing the game, yeah, a little bit quicker. 407 APM versus 338. Just a little bit more on point, a little bit sharper here so far. Sonic Storm coming up. Okay. +1 air weapons is a big indication that he does want to transition towards Skytals eventually. When it comes to Skytals, not only the Mothership has changed, so the Mothership is very different. I don't even really know if it's that much better. I'm actually not convinced. I think at this level of play, it might even be a little bit worse overall, but the StarCraft community at large seems to assume that it's a buff, so I guess I'll go with that opinion. I don't think it is. I honestly think the perma-cloak being gone is a big nerf, but... Anyways, the Tempest is also very different. The Tempest right now is much more microable than it used to be, which is actually kind of sick. It may allow for some cheeses again, too. I think like a Tempest Mothership timing attack might be a viable option, but we'll have to see. Big attack over here in the meantime up north. Reinforcing Stalkers and Zealots are apparently the main job here. For the Protoss player, or at least their main job is killing all of these units. Luckily for him, Dark decides to back off, and Astrea can continue pushing up here. Okay, Disruptors are definitely a little bit weaker, but still a powerful tool for sure. Lurkers are right now getting destroyed. So it's harder for the Lurkers to reposition, but when you have those speed-up circles, yeah, you can still get into a nice spot like that. Roach is right now getting dangerously close to the Colossi. Can they kill 2? Lovely targeting right there by the Zerg. I think he got 2 Colossi and a Disruptor that was hiding underneath as the recall was channeling. So big win right there for Dark. That being said, 4 carriers on the production tab. And at this point, Dark does not have a lot of units that are shooting up. Another hatchery over here got destroyed as well by Astrea. Astrea's got so much money in the bank though. Can we please start spending a little bit better? He's more, yeah, we've got 9 gateways. I think we probably need to have a little bit more, but as long as you stay on top of it, it should be okay. Now suddenly, Astrea might end up losing this base because he's got so much money in the bank. Dark is mostly limited by gas at this point, so I can't blame him as much for it. He's been losing a lot of bases, and he doesn't have a lot of gas income, but yeah, that's a shame. I don't think Astrea should be losing this base. He's got nearly 3,000 resources in the bank. Starts up new carrier, sure, but these carriers that are out right now are going to need a little bit of time to build intercept ships, and they're not going to be that useful. That actually really sucks here for Astrea. Yeah, his economy is going to really take a significant beating here. He did save the majority of the probes at least. Ooh, nice Disruptor hit as well. Hydras are, of course, not a great anti-air unit, but when it's only a handful of carriers, it may just be okay. Okay, lovely storms right there by the Protoss. Still, these are properly upgraded Hydras. And this is an army where the rest of the Protoss units, going through the speed-up circle with the Purification Nova, they don't have an easy time. Astrea did end up killing one of the hatcheries as well at the bottom of the map, so that is actually a really, really nice hit for him. Yeah, getting one of those bases, or taking care of one of those bases here from the Zerg is massive. Lurkers still just everywhere. There's not a lot of detection. Can we make an observer, please? I mean, we're making one right now. Oh, disruptors end up going down before the purification nova connects. Hatchery over here stays alive as well. 21 probes down the drain. They go back to mining. Hello. Oh, no. Well, that was a disaster. Ay, 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 Astrea. That's a shame. 40 probes. And this is, of course, because of all of that chaos that Dark creates, right? Dark will definitely bring the... Oh, another disruptor misrallied. Another Colossus? No! Oh, that actually physically hurts. The probes go back to mining a second time. They clump up again. Ah! Is Astrea half asleep? What's going on? Okay. Obviously, Astrea is playing against a Zerg who's everywhere, right? So at some point, it is almost impossible not to hit the all-army hotkey. So I think that's probably what ended up happening. He hit the all-army hotkey, accidentally YOLO'd all of his observers into all of that detection. The Hydras took quick care of them, and then suddenly the lurkers could just, well, go to town. And as soon as Dark realized that his opponent had no detection, he decided to spread all of those lurkers everywhere, which is a lovely play right there, of course, from Dark. But definitely not something that should have happened in the first place. Still though, Astrea's got a scary amount of units. This base is still low in hit points from earlier. And like I said, Hydras are good, but not great when it comes to dealing with carriers in big numbers. Can we at least kill this base? Hello? Really? Okay, I'm not sure exactly why not, but fair enough. High Templar over here, not microed backwards, so even though these Ravagers were gonna die, they still get at least one, well, unit for their problems. I really think that Hatchery should be dead. Ugh. I want to apologize to the Protoss players watching this. I know you're cringing. I know. It hurts me too, okay? I play Zerg primarily myself, but seeing a dozen sloppy mistakes in a row really does hurt my feelings quite a bit. The question is though, does Dark have enough stuff to push all of this back? I mean, Queens are good. There are a couple of Vipers in the mix now too. Yep, and we can start harpooning these units one at a time. Microbial Shrouds, sure. This is one of those unit compositions that Dark loves to play. This is the I am not going to die anytime soon, so tough luck, sucker, unit comps. This is what I think in his head he calls it, okay? When he gets to this unit comp with Lurkers, with Queens, with Infestors, with Vipers, with Spore Crawlers, and a bunch of whatevers. No. At least he finishes the hatchery now, but that was stupid. Anyways, yeah, this is one of those unit compositions where Astrea is going to be forced to play a longer game. Maybe he didn't want it. Maybe he was setting himself up for an all-in, and I think he was already accepting that fate. You're not going to be able to overwhelm Dark with those units. When he has all of that units on creep, there's no way. The main advantage, though, for Protoss is that this is also not a unit composition where Dark can just go across the map and kill his opponent, because a lot of his firepower comes from the Spore Crawlers and the Queens, and yeah, those units cannot really be used offensively very easily. So Dark is just... I like how we've had a cool 180, right? He decided to start this game off with a 12 pool into a proxy hatch, and now he's saying, okay, it is time to play the late game, baby. It is time for me to sit back, make a million Spore Crawlers, go into the Spires. I am gonna play with my food. Now, playing with your food is considered quite mean. My mom would not agree with Dark. But I think this is probably also the style where he's got the biggest win rate moving forward, right? There must have been a lot of games. I think every Zerg player can relate to this. There must have been a lot of games where Dark decided, okay, I'm so far ahead right now. I'm leading the game by like 90 supply. I'm going to try and win. And more often than not, Protoss manages to defend just barely. And at that point, the game is once again evened up. So even though this may look like somebody playing with their food, and it definitely is to some extent, a lot of it also comes down to whatever the best move is to obtain the victory eventually. And I think Dark has determined that playing the long game is probably the right move. Yeah, this does of course give Astrea a lot of chances to get back into the game too, though. At this point, he's still very far behind, but it means he can max out, and yeah, these carriers still pack a punch. Disruptor manages to sneak away after an abduction. Lovely work. +1 air weapons coming up here for Dark, +2 melee. His upgrades are pretty decent, but fungal growth, that range has been reduced by 1. Very noticeable. Fungal growth into parasitic bombs, into abductions, into microbial shroud, into fungal. Like, how does he do it? I don't know. There's like 4 Zerg players that can micro spellcasters like this. That is a major error right there from Astrea. Nice feedbacks initially, but he needed to back off right away. There's the Mothership coming up, by the way. Ooh, okay. Love seeing that. So the Mothership, cost reduction, supply reduction, build time reduction, speed increase, health and shield reduction. It no longer has any spellcaster energy. Instead, all of its abilities are cloaked. Plus, it's small. Look at it. It's tiny. It's definitely a little bit smaller. Yeah. Oh, it's kind of cute. I think it's been reduced by like 20%? 10%? Something like that. Some people have called it the daughter ship. The stepmama ship. I don't know about the stepmother ship. That has an interesting connotation in 2023, but we'll end up, yeah, seeing the mothership maybe be useful as well. I am not convinced. So the mothership lost its passive cloaking ability. So units that are underneath the mothership are no longer perma-cloaked. It's an activated ability instead, where he can, well, activate the cloaking underneath for like 20 seconds? 25, 30 seconds? For a little while. I think that is a significant nerf, actually, to the unit overall. Because right now, yeah, I know the 400-400 meme was funny, right? It's a good thing. But the reason why we saw the mothership get abducted so frequently is because Zerg couldn't see any of the other units underneath. So it was really the only target they could abduct. Right now, without the perma-cloak, it's going to be kind of awesome, I think. Because, I mean, Zerg can just abduct other units as well. So I think at this level of play, it's probably a small nerf to the mothership. I might be mistaken, I don't know, but... Anyways, what was previously, though, a landslide advantage for Dark still is an advantage, but I wouldn't call it a landslide anymore. I mean, he still has 10,000 resources in the bank, so it still definitely is a big advantage. He can basically remax his entire army after losing it all. But at least Astrea now has a standing force once again. Oh. Microbial Shroud, Fungal Growth, Spore Crawler, Queen Transfuse. I mean, how are you gonna kill that with Tempest and Carriers? I don't see. I don't see how. Microbial Shroud, obviously a very rarely used ability, but it's actually kind of amazing in the right situation. Corruptors coming up right now as well. So Lost Hydras are being replaced right now with Corruptors instead, and Dark is just gonna show us who the late game boss is. Ultra Cavern, I actually like it here. Going double upgrades. We might want to add on a Greater Spire as well, but... I mean, Astrea is making the best of this, though. Getting a good amount of eco. Mothership going down south. I'm gonna back off for just a second. Was this spotted by the Overlords? Where is it? What? I backed up like 10 seconds. Maybe it backed up like 20 seconds on accident. Yeah, I think it flies by those Overlords. So I think what Astrea is trying to do is recall his entire army towards the main base of the Zerg, which is an awesome move. So basically what you do, yeah, is you just sneak over here and then you recall and then bada bing, bada boom. Suddenly all of that Spore Crawler defense is no longer there. Astrea, you've been spotted. You flew by 3 Overlords. Maybe he didn't see, though. Dark did. Dark still microing at the front. I think Astrea just didn't notice. Oh no. Well, this is gonna be our first ever mothership, guys. And it's dead. What do you think of it? Was it a buff? Was it a nerf? Let me know down below in the comment section. That was not a good introduction for the new mothership, man. Yeah, as much as I think these new changes can be really good for Protoss, and I really think they will improve Protoss win rates across the board, this is Dark. Absolutely dominating this series. I mean, this is not over yet, don't get me wrong. Protoss is not gonna go down without a fight. But this is an uphill battle. And Dark is riding a motorcycle. Astrea's barefoot. It's like, you know, 100 degrees out. He's struggling, man. Whoever makes it to the top of the mountain first wins. And, well, Dark is basically like 1 meter before the finish line. Okay, I'll stop the analogy right there, but seriously. This is a Protoss with a very slow death animation. Yeah, I think the Protoss player effectively died 5 minutes ago, but because the static defense of Protoss is super powerful and battery overcharged and all that needs to be respected, Dark did not want to try and win earlier. And obviously you can still mess this up. Yeah, Purification Novas like that are amazing. Dark actually doesn't have any gas, which is interesting because he hasn't made any Banelings this game. Normally one of the reasons he's not making any Banelings. It's a Zerg tantrum, I'm telling you guys. Normally the Banelings are the main gas cost. And actually, you know what? The gas situation may become very significant. This is not over yet. Yes, Dark has 1 million minerals in the bank. Yes, he's throwing away a lot of those minerals. Yes, Protoss doesn't have a lot of mining. But if Astrea can take this base, as well as the one over here, and just slowly mine them out, he's gonna end up with a massive bank as well. And he may end up with more gas than the opponent. He's got a lot of minerals here that need to be, or a lot of probes rather, that need to be transferred to other minerals instead. He continuously tries to go up into this choke point, which I don't quite agree with. Recall is gonna be used on over here. Would have been nice to have a Mothership for like a secondary recall, but you know what? He keeps it alive. Oh, if Astrea wins this, I'm gonna be so impressed. Okay. Ultras right now joining in too. Together with Lurkers and Zerglings, they take care of that static defense real quick. Corruptors right now going around the side, but good movement by Astrea. Getting the feedbacks on those Vipers just the way we want to see it. We should be seeing feedback like that all the time. It's very powerful. In the meantime, those Zerglings, yeah, as soon as half of that Protoss army left, Zerglings got rid of a lot of those workers, and that's going to be the end for, I think, this base for now. Zealot over here working at the base down south. These gases still have a little bit of juice in them. This high-yield Vespian Geyser just ran out. Dark really doesn't have a lot of gas. I think he probably wants to take this base. That would probably be the right move. At the same time, though, once again, we have a fight happening inside of that speed circle. Fungal growths together with a lot of nice micro there, but ultimately the Zerg player is forced to disengage. Yeah, as aggressive as Dark played in the earlier stages of this series, as cautious as he is right now, right? Which is interesting. He's gonna lose that hatchery over here, okay. I think he actually made a bit of a mistake. Well, this is once again a gigantic error though from Astrea. He should not be here. Don't bring the High Templar forward. Yeah, we gotta try and fungal here and I guess get a couple of hits in. Prismatic Alignment is gonna activate. Okay. I think Storm right there would have been okay, but he wanted to feed back the Infestors. Fair enough. I think Dark probably regrets his decision to play this game as passively as he has been. Because not that long ago, he was 10,000 resources ahead. And now suddenly he finds himself in a relatively even game. It's honestly going to be all about this base over here. I think Astrea should have taken this one a little while ago. He had the money for it, but that Overlord has been denying it for a while. And now finally a Void Ray has been sent on over in this direction to get rid of it. Dark Templar. I actually like the Dark Templar here a lot. I would have forgotten about it, but yeah, not a bad choice. It's going to be able to kill infinite amounts of Zerglings, assuming there's no detection. A lot of these Corruptors are low in hit points too. Oh, okay, misrally right there by the Protoss. He knows that the... He knows that the Corruptors are over there, right? So like, why not change the rally point? Why not... Well, I guess it's rallied straight on top of the army or something like that, but... Anyways, slowly but surely, the Protoss army is getting more and more upgrades. Don't lose in more High Templar, please. Thank you. Okay. Neuroparasites? Yep, neuroparasites. Oh, Dark. You're so dirty. Target fires down to low hit point High Templar. Okay. Ultimately, still an uphill battle, but Astrea has upgraded to an electric bicycle. I think, yeah, I was gonna say just a bicycle, but that's not it. Electric bicycles are kind of OP, okay? Coming from a Dutchman, I can tell you guys, electric bicycles are basically mopeds now, okay? They're like basically, yeah, little motorcycles. Yeah, you have electric motorcycles as well. I've seen a bunch of them. They're actually kind of sick. They make absolutely no noise. which, yeah, one of my neighbors goes to work on a motorcycle, and he wakes me up at like 6 a.m. every morning when my window is open. I would not mind if that man decided to switch to an electric motorcycle, is all I'm saying, okay? Anyways, that base that was previously mining over here by the Protoss, right, is now going to be taken by the Zerg. And I think it's mostly just, well, actually also for the minerals. Yeah, the gas count is nice, but Dark still trying to secure these outer bases, and Astrea has taken the base over here. This game has gotten very, very close. I almost am getting the feeling that Astrea, in like the halfway point of this match, like 10 minutes ago, 15-ish minutes ago, sort of gave up on it a little bit, and he stopped trying as hard. But he still found himself in this position. Like, he was kind of getting that vibe where he was sort of trying a little bit, but he was mostly just autopiloting, knowing he couldn't really GG out yet, because he still had a maxed out army, but he also kind of realized that the game was not looking all too great. I think he could have still, yeah, done a bit of a better job there, and not thrown away, like, I don't know. I've seen, like, many of the, like, when he first lost all of that economy further up north, I think he could have saved so many of his High Templar and Disruptors back then. Anyways, Dark is gonna go in for a move over here, suddenly hitting the opponent at multiple angles at once. Corruptors once again, though, coming in. We do see some storms over here as well. That would be nice. No Archons available to prevent what is called the Lowko maneuver, although I would have liked to see a parasitic bomb there as well. There's one Archon underneath. I said there was none. This guy over here, 32 confirmed kills. Don't forget about that absolute legend. That dude probably just killed like 10 Corruptors, which is kind of awesome. Now suddenly, Astrea's army is looking a whole lot more powerful. Oh no, Dark, what have you done? Okay. Dark sometimes seems to power up as soon as he finds himself in a tricky scenario. Suddenly he plays 10 times as good. You know what? Ultimately, his economy is still amazing compared to the Protoss. Yes, it's nothing to write home about, but nice little advantage over there for sure. It's because he's now taking that base over there up north, and he's also taking the mirrored base on the other side of the map. Oracle together with Tempest, though, putting in a good amount of work here. I would have liked to see the Tempest upgrade by now, but I guess he doesn't have the money for it anymore at this stage in the game. Zerglings immediately trigger that stasis ward, and a bunch of Zerglings over here end up going down as well. Couple of gases taken. Hello, would be nice, not gonna lie. Is this the hero? No, it's not the hero Archon. Different Archon. Hero Archon is still with the main army, of course. He's the commanding officer. There he is. Absolute Giga Chad. Yeah, so when you can't jump it, right? So when you have a bunch of Archons in the mix, those storms are amazing. He is gonna grab one of the High Templars. Second High Templar should have been in the back. Why is it over there? I don't know. Anyways, when you don't have any Archons, the Corruptors can jump all of your flying units. And in particular with parasitic bombs, it is very, very dangerous. But with Archons underneath, the Corruptors, since they clump up and since the Archons deal splash damage to a small area, they, generally speaking, prevent the Zerg from doing that. And I think Dark also saw the same thing as I did. He did not see one of the Archons, and he decided to commit there. Ultimately, those are the mistakes, though, that will allow Astrea back into this game. Zerglings right now trying to break the front wall here, but it's not going to happen. We have the Void Rays joining in with that Speedy Boy upgrade. They don't mess around. In the meantime, though, okay, the army over here needs to be careful, but I'm liking this better and better for Astrea. I mean, it's still bad. It's still no good, but it's a hell of a lot better than it once was. Void Rays will now find this base over here, too. I think I should zap it down. Be ready to recall, though, because I think that this is going to trigger Dark. Maybe not. No, he instead decides to... Okay. I thought Dark was maybe going to fight in the bottom right-hand corner, but instead he decides to fight over in the top section of the map instead, because he was already close by, apparently. Maybe anticipating that move as well. Now we go, though, with the Corruptors out of the equation into the bottom section of the map. The problem is the Void Rays were also out of the equation because he recalled to the natural? I don't know why. I guess he just hit the Nexus hotkey and that was the closest by one. Anyways, this is no good. Hello. Astrea sleeping on the job. Losing a couple of the Void Rays there. Oracle goes down. Tempest, though, trying their very best to get some work in. Nice split on that Void Ray on the right side of your screen. Ultras now together with Zerglings pushing the front, but that Immortal, Big Daddy Immortal, shooting away at the Ultras one at a time. Ultimately, though, this is still 2 base Zerg versus 1 base Protoss, and Dark is still significantly ahead in the supply count. I think this main army here of Protoss still needs to be addressed, but the Zerg army is so much bigger. Don't make that mistake a second time, man. Those Archons are greedy. They really want to be shooting at as many of those Corruptors as possible. Oh, no. Guys, I've stopped counting, but I really feel like half of the unit losses in this game have been mostly pointless, no? Am I mistaken? Maybe I'm being a little too critical and a little too harsh, but I have seen so many Protoss units going down for no apparent reason, starting with that War Prism at the beginning of the game. I think if half of those mistakes were not made, and I understand that's much easier said than done, right? Don't get me wrong, this game is super hard and it's hard to stay on top of everything. But we have seen the Protoss throw away so many more units than the Zerg has done. Parasitic Bomb over there, a couple of the Corruptors trying to find an angle. Looks like they're gonna split against the Archons underneath. They're gonna snipe the final Tempest, and with that, it's Dark who obtains the victory 2-0 over Astrea.